You know that exact moment your wholesale business finally hits, like, $1 million in a month.
Oh, yeah. It's usually the exact same moment your website completely breaks.
Right. It's like, you've won, the orders are just pouring in,
Yeah.
but behind the scenes you are somehow completely drowning in spreadsheets.
Oh, entirely. Your inventory is suddenly showing up as in stock and, two completely different places at the exact same time.
Yes. And your finance team is just pulling their hair out, trying to figure out which of those recent promotional campaigns actually made the company any money.
It's the ultimate growth paradox. Success applies pressure, and, well, that pressure exposes literally every single crack in your operational foundation.
Mhm.
Like when your team literally cannot manually type in orders fast enough to keep up with demand, that's the trigger point. That is when most business owners just throw their hands up and say, okay, we need an ERP.
Right, an enterprise resource planning system, the supposed holy grail of business operations. And for our deep dive today, we are unpacking this highly practical guide from Discount Prime. It's titled Best ERP Integrations for Shopify B2B and Wholesale.
Yeah, it's a really crucial read.
It is, because, I love untangling this tech stack stuff, but while hunting for an ERP is absolutely the right instinct when you hit that breaking point, merchants routinely misunderstand what it is they're actually buying. Like, they assume it's this silver bullet.
Oh, they treat it exactly like a magic wand, like it's going to miraculously fix every back office bottleneck and, storefront pricing problem all at once.
Right.
But the reality, and this source material makes it incredibly clear, is that while an ERP is completely vital for your operations, expecting it to handle real-time pricing execution on your Shopify storefront, that leaves a massive, dangerous gap in your business.
We really need to untangle this, because from the outside looking in, e-commerce operations just feels like one giant blurry mess.
Oh, total blur.
You hear terms thrown around like inventory management, checkout logic, accounting software, and it all just blends together. But to actually solve the problem, we have to separate that blurry mess into 3 very distinct jobs.
Yes. Blurring those jobs is precisely how companies end up spending, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the wrong software. Or, and this might be worse, forcing the right software to perform the wrong tasks.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
So let's carve them out. Job number 1 is the ERP itself. This is your heavy machinery.
Okay.
It manages the business operations. We're talking inventory counts, purchase orders, complex accounting, procurement from your suppliers, and fulfillment. It serves as your absolute operational system of record.
Got it. So then we step into job number 2, which is Shopify.
Exactly.
And Shopify's domain is the storefront and the checkout experience. It handles your product catalog, the visual shopping cart, the payment processing gateway, and, managing basic B2B customer accounts. It's the actual venue where the transaction happens.
Which leaves job number 3. And this is the one that so frequently just falls through the cracks.
The pricing engine.
Yes, the pricing engine.
Yeah.
This is the specialized layer that manages real-time promotions and executes pricing logic dynamically right there on the storefront. So you have operations, storefront, and pricing execution. Those are the 3 distinct jobs.
Think about it like a high-end restaurant. Your ERP is the kitchen and that massive pantry in the back.
I love this analogy.
Right. It's tracking every grain of rice, managing the vendors, monitoring food costs, making sure the whole operation doesn't just run out of flour on a busy Friday night. And Shopify is the dining room and the physical menu. It's the beautiful ambiance where the customers sit down and look at what's available.
And by that logic, the pricing engine is the waiter.
Yes. But an incredibly observant, hyper-intelligent waiter. Like, this waiter knows exactly which VIP customer just walked through the door. Yeah. They remember their specific corporate account tier, and they know exactly when to offer that unadvertised happy hour discount at, say, 5 p.m., and they do it all without ever needing to run to the back to ask the head chef for permission.
Because, and this is key, if that waiter has to run to the back kitchen every single time a customer asks a question, the service completely grinds to a halt.
Right. It would be a disaster.
An organized kitchen is mandatory if you plan to scale a restaurant to serve 1,000 meals a day. You simply cannot survive without it. But the kitchen itself is not equipped to execute nuanced, real-time customer service out of the table. So an ERP is necessary for scale, but it is fundamentally not sufficient for B2B pricing execution.
Okay, so if a merchant just spent like 6 grueling months and a small fortune implementing a top-tier ERP, Why are they mistakenly expecting the kitchen to act like the waiter?
Well, it boils down to a really profound misunderstanding of the difference between storing data and executing logic.
Storing versus executing.
Exactly. That distinction is the core thesis of our deep dive today. A high-quality ERP is unparalleled when it comes to handling master data. I mean, it masters your complex product SKUs, it tracks multi-location inventory across different warehouses, handles the purchase orders, and totally locks down your financial reporting.
And it does store pricing data too, right? Like it can hold a product's base cost, the MSRP, or even a specific negotiated contract rate for a massive wholesale client.
It absolutely stores those numbers. But storing a price in a database is an entirely different universe from executing customer-specific, campaign-based pricing logic cleanly and instantly inside Shopify's checkout. You really have to internalize this framework. I'll use the exact phrasing from the source material here because it is the anchor of this entire concept. The ERP stores and syncs the data. Discount Prime runs the pricing rules buyers actually see.
Okay, wait, hold on. I need to push back on that for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
Because if I am the business owner, right, and I just paid an integration agency a ton of money to connect my shiny new ERP to Shopify, I'm thinking, well, if the ERP already knows that Customer X has a 15% off contract rate, why on earth can't the ERP just push that final calculated price directly into the Shopify cart? Like, why do we even need this middleman waiter to intervene?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And the answer lives inside the reality of the half second.
The half second.
Yeah. Think about the physical action a buyer takes on your website. They're looking at a bulk order of widgets, and they click the Add to Cart button in that half-second window before the page reloads. A massive amount of conditional logic has to fire.
It's not just a simple price lookup, is it?
Far from it. In that half second, the system has to ask, is this specific user logged in? Are they actively eligible for their designated wholesale tier? Are they buying enough quantity in this specific cart to trigger a buy more, save more volume break? Right. And it keeps going. Does this specific product tag qualify for the flash sale you started an hour ago? And most crucially, if they apply a discount code on top of their wholesale rate, does that drop the final price below your actual cost margin?
And all of that computation has to happen instantly, or the buyer just gets frustrated and leaves.
Exactly. And an ERP simply is not architected to run real-time conditional storefront logic fast enough over a web API without totally breaking the buying experience.
Because of the lag.
Right. If Shopify has to ping your back office database in a completely different state every single time a customer changes the quantity from 50 to 100 in their cart, the latency will cause the site to crawl. The ERP is a heavy, robust, secure database. It is not a nimble, real-time web execution engine. So the ERP acts as the business's long-term memory, but the pricing engine provides the reflexes.
Reflexes. That makes perfect sense. To go back to the restaurant, you don't want the waiter running to the pantry to check the master inventory ledger every single time a customer asks to substitute fries for a salad.
Right.
You need a system at the front of the house that already knows the rules.
So if we accept that the kitchen's job is solely to prep and sync that foundational data, the immediate question for a growing merchant becomes, how do I choose the right kitchen for my specific house?
Yeah, because just plugging random software into Shopify and crossing your fingers is a recipe for disaster.
Oh, a total nightmare. Thankfully, Shopify recognizes the danger there, which is why they operate the Global ERP program.
Right, the Global ERP program.
Yeah, this is a curated set of certified enterprise applications designed so that complex merchants can sync their financials and their inventory without having to bankroll custom bespoke integration work.
And avoiding custom integrations is huge. I mean, bespoke middleware is where IT budgets just go to die.
It is a massive risk reduction.
Yeah.
So the guide breaks down the headline systems in this certified program, and walking through them really reveals how specific ERPs map to very different operational profiles.
Let's go through them.
For the heavy hitters, you are looking at Oracle, NetSuite, and Acumatica. These are built for B2B heavy, enterprise-level brands. I mean, if you have multiple subsidiaries, complex manufacturing needs, or intricate global supply chains, NetSuite provides incredibly deep, mature finance capabilities.
And Acumatica.
Acumatica, on the other hand, is known for being highly flexible, particularly for inventory-heavy distribution operations.
But like, if I'm a smaller merchant or maybe an agile brand just starting to scale, deploying NetSuite would be like putting a Formula One engine in a golf cart. It's massive overkill that will probably break the business just from the sheer weight of trying to implement it.
Which is exactly why the guide highlights Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central for the SMB to mid-market tier.
Okay, Business Central.
Yeah, this is a particularly potent choice if a company is already deeply entrenched in the Microsoft ecosystem. If your team is already using Office 365, Power BI, and Azure, Dynamics gives you a robust accounting and operations foundation in a user interface your employees already understand.
That makes sense. Let me throw a different scenario at you, though, because I see this all the time. What if I'm a brand that exploded by selling direct to consumer, doing massive volume with thousands of small orders, and now I want to scale up by adding a wholesale B2B channel?
Very common scenario.
Right. And based on what we're discussing, I don't necessarily need a sprawling enterprise finance system. My biggest nightmare is just getting a grip on my inventory and my chaotic order routing.
You've hit the nail on the head. For that specific omnichannel transition, the guide points directly to Brightpearl, which is owned by Sage or Sin7.
Brightpearl and Sin7, okay.
These platforms are explicitly retail first. They focus heavily on inventory tracking, purchasing workflows, and high-volume fulfillment without the crushing overhead of a traditional enterprise finance ERP.
So it's really all about matching the tool to the core bottleneck of your business?
Precisely. The guide also mentions SAP Business One, noting it as a powerhouse for established distribution and manufacturing, though it does flag it often requires some careful middleware to talk perfectly to Shopify.
Right.
And then there's Odoo, which is pitched as the highly flexible modular choice for cost-conscious or international SMBs who want to sort of build their system block by block.
We should probably also carve out space for the early stage operations, right? Like if you are just now hitting the limits of your spreadsheets, you don't have to leap straight to an enterprise system.
Oh, absolutely not. Pairing QuickBooks or Xero with a dedicated inventory app is frequently the perfect stepping stone to stabilize your back office before committing to a full ERP implementation.
Good. Okay, so here is the crucial detail to pull from this entire matchmaking section. Even when Shopify talks about their own global ERP program, they explicitly state that these external systems connect to Shopify to sync customer data, inventory, and pricing information.
Yeah, exactly.
They deliberately use the word sync. Shopify themselves do not claim the ERP makes the real-time pricing decisions.
They're passing the baton. The ERP calculates the baseline, secures the data, and just hands it off.
Which brings us to the final leg of the relay race. You have selected your ERP, maybe it's Brightpearl, for your omnichannel DTC brand. It's humming along in the back office, successfully pushing your master data over to Shopify. How do we actually execute those complex B2B rules we talked about earlier? Like, what does the waiter actually do?
This is where the execution layer steps into the spotlight. And in the context of this framework, that execution layer is a Shopify native app, like Discount Prime.
Okay, Discount Prime.
It sits natively on the commerce side, right in front of the ERP. It takes all that meticulously synced data and runs the live, real-time logic inside the storefront. The guide actually details several specific pricing functions that fundamentally require this front-end execution.
Let's unpack the mechanics of those functions, because this is where a B2B business actually makes or loses money.
Absolutely. The first is customer eligibility. It sounds simple, but you have to guarantee that only logged-in, approved B2B buyers see the wholesale price, while a regular retail customer on the exact same product page sees the standard MSRP.
Right, you don't want a random shopper stumbling into your wholesale pricing.
Exactly. Following closely behind that is tiered unit pricing. Wholesale buyers think in volume. They don't just want a flat discount. They want to see buy more, save more.
Yeah.
Quantity breaks, visually displayed right on the product page, encouraging them to increase their order size.
And to protect your inventory, you need minimum and maximum thresholds. Like, you might require a wholesaler to purchase at least 50 units to access the Tier 1 price, but you absolutely have to cap them at 500 units. So one aggressive buyer doesn't just wipe out your entire seasonal inventory in a single click.
That happens more often than you'd think. The targeting mechanism behind all of this is fascinating, too. The guide emphasizes metafield-based product targeting.
Hold on. Metafields sounds like deep developer jargon. Let's translate that for a second. In plain English, we're really just talking about hidden tags on a product page, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like tagging a specific SKU as a hazardous material or a clearance item in the back end, so the system automatically knows how to treat it without someone having to manually code a rule for every single product.
That is a perfect translation. If you have a massive dynamic catalog with thousands of SKUs, you cannot afford the labor to manually tag every single new item for a discount. You need an execution system that can look at those underlying hidden tags, the meta fields that your ERP synced over, and instantly apply pricing rules based on those attributes.
That is so powerful. And then we get to campaign conflict control, which is the mechanism that keeps CFOs awake at night.
Oh, the nightmares they have.
Picture this.
Oh.
You are running a massive 20% off Black Friday retail coupon across the entire site. Simultaneously, your VIP B2B buyers already have a standing 30% wholesale discount. If those discounts accidentally stack in the cart,
You are suddenly paying your customers to take your inventory off your hands. It is a catastrophic margin loss.
wow. So how does the execution layer actually prevent that from happening?
By operating in milliseconds at the point of checkout. The execution app sits right there in the cart, evaluating the items and applying a strict hierarchy of rules. If it detects that a 30% B2B discount is active for that specific user, it actively blocks the Black Friday code from applying. It enforces the business logic before the credit card is ever charged.
Which flows perfectly into margin-safe discounting.
Yeah.
The execution layer looks at the real cost of the item, the raw cost data that the ERP synced over, and guarantees that no mathematical combination of discounts will ever drop the final price below your actual hard cost margin.
Exactly. Eligibility, visual tiered pricing, thresholds, metafield targeting, conflict control, and margin protection. All of those functions belong to the execution layer. It really comes down to storage versus execution. The ERP provides the foundation, but Discount Prime is the storefront reflexes.
So just to lock this in for everyone listening, I'm going to repeat that core phrase. The ERP stores and syncs the data. Discount Prime runs the pricing rules buyers actually see.
That is the whole ball game.
And what I find brilliant about structuring your business this way is the long-term stability it provides. As your business scales, you are inevitably going to outgrow your first ERP. You might start on QuickBooks, move to Sin 7, and eventually migrate to NetSuite.
It's natural progression.
But tearing out an ERP is a massive, painful operational surgery. But if you have this execution layer set up properly, your pricing engine Discount Prime remains a constant.
Exactly. The rules your buyers interact with on the website don't shatter just because you completely remodeled the kitchen in the back. The customer experience remains seamless.
You can change the kitchen, but the menu and the waiter stay exactly the same. So we have outlined this highly effective architecture, ERP in the back, Shopify in the middle, Discount Prime running the execution in the front. But the source material points out a massive blind spot. When merchants are in the thick of evaluating tech, sitting in these endless procurement meetings with software vendors, they completely miss this dynamic because they're simply asking the wrong questions.
It is the classic procurement trap. A team puts together a spreadsheet of functional requirements, and in the process, they completely lose sight of the actual customer experience on the website.
The guide notes that merchants typically hammer vendors with about 14 functional questions when evaluating an ERP. They ask, does the system sync orders reliably? Can it handle inventory across 3 different warehouses? How does it process refunds? Can it manage multi-currency transactions and international tax compliance?
And to be clear, those are vital operational questions. You absolutely must know how the software handles those tasks.
But they almost always skip the 15th question, the one critical question that determines whether their storefront will actually function for a B2B buyer when the site goes live.
The skipped question is, what pricing logic still needs to happen inside Shopify? Failing to ask that question is the primary reason why expensive, highly anticipated wholesale campaigns fail to run the way the merchant intended. The business owner assumes the ERP will magically handle the storefront logic, the EOP assumes Shopify's native checkout will handle it, and the B2B buyer is left staring at a broken checkout page where their negotiated rates aren't applying.
It was just a total communication breakdown.
It is an assumption of capability that fundamentally clashes with the architecture of modern e-commerce.
So to you listening right now, audit your own tech evaluations. Look at your procurement spreadsheets. Are you expecting your heavy accounting software to act as your dynamic storefront salesperson? Because if you are setting yourself up for a very expensive, very public disappointment.
Bringing this back to the macro view, choosing the right ERP is a monumental decision for your operations. You desperately need that reliable back-office system of record to scale without chaos. But ERP integration alone does not and cannot solve Shopify B2B pricing. You need both distinct layers.
You need the kitchen to prep the ingredients, and you need the waiter to serve the customer.
The ERP to store and sync the master data, and a Shopify native execution layer like Discount Prime to run the rules buyers actually see.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with something to chew on regarding the future of your business. Think about the changing demographics of B2B buyers. As younger generations step into procurement roles, they are bringing vastly different
Oh,
expectations.
entirely different.
They expect purchasing a massive wholesale pallet of industrial equipment to feel exactly as smooth, fast, and intuitive as buying a pair of sneakers on Instagram.
The tolerance for clunky, slow portals is just disappearing. Fast.
Exactly. If your heavy back office tech is currently dictating a slow, rigid front-end customer experience, how long is it going to be until a competitor with a much better waiter steals your best clients, regardless of how organized your kitchen might be? It is a question worth answering before you sign that next major software contract.
A vital perspective for any modern merchant.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.